What's going on, Restoration Dominators? Rico Garcia here, your host for yet another amazing episode. This one was tons of fun. Today we are joined by none other than Martin Pettigrew with Reeva Impact and Monarch Roofing, possibly one of the standards in the roofing arena right now. And if you're not in roofing, no big deal. You are going to get so much value from this podcast because at the end of the day, it's all about principles. And if it works in one industry, there's a good, strong possibility that it'll work in your industry as well. And this is a really amazing episode. We cover a lot of ground with regards to proper positioning, how to scale your business, and just the overall mindset that is needed in order for you to build a multi-million-dollar empire and still keep pushing forward, right? Still upping the ante every single step of the way. So this is a really exciting episode. I think that you guys are going to get a tremendous amount of value. But before we jump into the episode, a quick shout out to our show sponsors, starting with CNR Magazine. If you haven't gotten your subscription of CNR Magazine, make sure that you go ahead and do that now. Just head on over to cnrmagazine.com, hit the big red subscribe now button, put in your information, and boom, just like that, you're going to be an insider and keep your finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in the market, with also some amazing articles and everything that you need in order to be successful in your business and know what's going on in your backyard. CNR Magazine, make sure that you get your subscription today. Also, big shout out to our platinum sponsors, both the Public Adjusting Corner and the Legal Corner. The Public Adjusting Corner, we're joined once a month with a special episode with Carlos Machine, the claims machine from Policyholder Advocates, and we talk about the benefits of using a public adjuster. We go over some case studies and changes that are happening within that industry and how that affects the restoration arena as well. And then, of course, in our legal corner, we're joined every single month by our very own lawyer Brit, who is again sharing case studies, sharing some changes that may be happening with legislation, changes that may be happening with contracts and how we're getting paid as restoration pros, and so much more information. So big shout out. Make sure that you tune in to their episodes that drop each and every single month. And also remember, whether you have a question for them or just a general comment, we'd like to hear from you. Go ahead and pick up the phone. Shoot us a call, 678-TALK, the number 2, us. So 678, talk to us, drop us a line, let us know what your biggest takeaways are. If you got any questions for the pros or any kind of commentary whatsoever, we want to hear your voice. So make sure that you keep those calls coming in. So without further ado, let's get right into the interview with Martin. I think you're going to enjoy this. Let's go.
Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
All right. What is going on, guys? First of all, let me even start off by saying I hope that you're enjoying this new intro, because we just started recently doing this new intro, switched it up a little bit, made it a little bit shorter for you guys so you didn't have to hear that whole thing. Really excited today. Martin, man, thank you so much for taking the time to being on the show. Are you ready to help us dominate?
Man, thank you so much, Rico, for having me. And I love your podcast. You got me at Dominate, and then your intro with Dominate. This right along in the same line. And thanks so much for spending 50 minutes with me before we even got started. So a lot that we could have get going for a little longer. So it's an honor to be here, man.
Yeah, man. So for those of you listening and watching, Martin and I were jamming out for typically our pre-podcast calls, maybe 5 minutes, 10 at most, 50 minutes. We were jamming out on strategy, mindset, motivation, all of these different areas that really, I think, move the needle in any business, right? So if you're, a water mitigation guy and you're like, roofing has nothing to do with me. If you're in the mold remediation or biohazard or whatever it is that you do, and you think that maybe you're a public adjuster out there, you're listening to the podcast and you're like, this doesn't really apply to me. Grab a pen, pull over. If you're listening to this, grab a pen, grab a sheet of paper, buckle up. make sure you keep that seatbelt on, because I think it's going to be a wild ride. Universal principles are a thing that I talk a lot about on the podcast. And Martin and I were jamming out for like 50 minutes straight, just talking about some really, really good content. Hopefully we can go ahead and recapture that magic again.
I know. It's pressure's on now.
Yeah. Then we didn't blow our load like prior to hitting the record button. But yeah, Martin, look, for those that are not familiar with the name, maybe they haven't heard of you, they haven't heard of Monarch, haven't heard of Reeva. Shame on them. But if they haven't, fill in some of the gaps on the intro. Let everybody know who you are, industry that you're in, how you got into the industry, things of that nature.
Great, Rico. In Monarch Roofing, we're located in the southeast in the Carolinas, Myrtle Beach. We have 3 locations: Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and Hilton Head. We're roofing contractors. We did over $43 million in sales last year. We're really, really proud of this, Rico. But just like we talked about before, it's only results of hard work and testing the roofing machine, the process, right? So we hate to talk about this because we're passionate about one thing: is to give our homeowner what they deserve, the best installation, the best warranties, and the best services. And I know those who are listening to this and taking the time to listen to us, they have the same passion, because taking the time away from what your day-to-day is, you're not focused on just making money. You're like, I want to learn something. And you mentioned that before. You don't know what you don't know. I want to learn something today so I can advance my business. So for a long-term decision. So I'm very passionate about giving back. And that's why we started REEVA. REEVA means it's a guiding star. So we're guiding roofing contractors on the process and procedure in the setup, the structure of the roofing machine, so we can help more homeowners through other roofing contractors get what they deserve, the best.
That's awesome. So obviously there's street cred already built in, right? I mean, $43 million in revenue is nothing to shake a stick at. I mean, you didn't stumble upon a $43 million a year business without having some growing pains. So everybody likes to talk about their successes. They like to talk about, even in a humble way. It's like, I don't want to talk about how successful I am, but typically we hear the success stories. We don't really hear all the bullshit that goes on in order for you to become successful, right? So take us kind of back to, prior to you being in the roofing business. Like, what did that journey look like?
All right, so I'm an immigrant like you, and I feel like it's probably one of the biggest gifts that I have, growing up. It's not like in Canada is bad, but I'm from the French part of Canada. I did learn English when I was about 18. But I feel like no matter what, I'm always relentless to become better, because I have a duty to give back to this great country. We come here in this country and everything is set up for you to be successful. There's no excuse right now. If you're not successful, it's on you. Every Americans, it's hard to hear this, but anybody that's in this country right now, you have the opportunity to become whatever you want. So I feel like I'm forever indebted to those that came before me, especially military veterans. We give a lot of roof for veterans, roof for troops. I'm grateful for all those that are veterans. But going back to my friends, their parents or grandparents that were here before, I feel like I'm never going to give back enough to serve our country to make up for what the sacrifice was done from others before me. So I'm obsessed with this, and that's my fire every day. But you're talking about like where we came from. So I played golf in college. I left home when I was 13 years old to go to high school, where we were only playing golf every afternoon. So a little bit like the book Outliers. I don't know if you had a chance to read this book. I know you're a big reader.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So we talk about the environment. So we had school during the morning from 7:30 to 11:30, and we played golf every afternoon. Every single sport was playing the sport. Hockey, canoe was big, any sport, tennis. So we got an environment where we became really good at one sport. So mine was golf, and that's what got me to play golf in college. I got a scholarship to play D1, which there's not many French Canadian living in 6 foot of snow in the winter to do that. So it was a big accomplishment. But I made a big mistake. Talk about the mistakes. That was my dream growing up since I was 13 to get to this point. That was my goal. So when I got to college, I kind of took it easy. I was in America learning English and a lot of fun in university. I kind of let off the pedal a little bit. So it's a little bit a shame story. Then I came to Myrtle Beach, graduated, but I didn't get better at golf. I thought I still want to play golf more, but I figured out that, losing your it's got to be more than just having a goal in life. Like people say, I want to get to 10 million. Well, if that's your mission, you're going to get to 10 million and you're going to slow down. So that was my goal, to get to college, then I slowed down. So I said, after that, I said, whatever I do, because it was really hard. Like I was kind of lost for 6 months, 8 months here. So whatever I do after this, I got to be something that's bigger than me, I can never reach. So giving back, serving the community and being relentless, dominating. And we can talk about this a little bit, became my first thing. But my first failure really is just coming here and not getting better at something that I was passionate about. That's all I want. I was eat, sleep, golf. All my friends were playing golf. That's all we were doing for 6 years before I came to America. So.
And then how did you stumble upon roofing? How did that first experience go, like in the actual industry now?
Rico, so I was working day at the golf course, making $6.90 an hour.
Oh my God.
I know it's 15 years ago, brother, but
yeah, but still,
$6.90 an hour.
You hear that like, now, and you're like, what?
Right. There was a time I feel like I'm 100. I feel like my dad. So I couldn't make means, so I needed another job. So I started. Long story short, I started parking cars at a club here in Myrtle Beach, making tips, valeting. So I would work 2-3 nights a week as much as I could. And then I would work Saturday nights, any nights, but I would see these guys, Rico, and these freaking guys that would come in with their big F-250 diesel truck jacked up. And you know, like when you have like back then, there was nothing like this, but the screens that would come out, your CD player, and it would come up.
Yep,
these guys had this, like, oh my gosh, these guys are so awesome. They were rock stars, man. They were all late 20s, young guys. Like, you are living a rock star life, going out to 2, 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. You have the best truck. You spend a bunch of money. Give me $20 to park your car, 10 feet away. Like, what? Like, I'm so jealous. Like,
yeah, what are you doing?
Do?
Right.
Yeah, I'm pissed. I'm like, I can barely pay my bills. Can barely pay my rent. I stay in my car many nights. I don't have air conditioning in my car because it's a Canadian car. So there's a stick shift, no AC. It's a disaster. And you guys are blowing money. So they were all contractors.
And isn't that a powerful thing? Like, and I want to unpack a lot of stuff, right? Because we were jamming out for so long, prior to the podcast. I want to make sure that we just, kind of keep that theme going. Part of that is just like getting honest with yourself and having conversation. Like in today's day and age, it's almost unacceptable for people to say, I was a little jealous. I was pissed. I was like, I feel like I deserve that. I feel that if that's what drives a person to take those initial steps, to ask the tough questions, to go ahead and put shit on the line, and you got to get a little angry, you got to get a little mad, do it. Like, ultimately, it's for the better good, right? Like, so finding motivation in different areas like that, I think, is really important. And being honest with yourself and recognizing these emotions and be like, fuck, like, I'm a good guy. I'm educated. I worked my ass off. I'm willing to do whatever, right? Why do they get to do that and I don't? Some people don't want to make these comparisons anymore. They don't want to talk about those kind of things, right? Because here's why. A lot of times when you start asking those questions, you realize you're not built for shit. You're not built for that. And that's like a hard pill to swallow, right? But the only way to know is to be like, hey, look, I kind of feel this kind of way. And either I'm going to be like what's called a hater, right? Or I'm going to go ahead and pursue some better avenues in life, right? So it's great that you like looked at that scenario. So once you started to see these guys with, with the money and the trucks and everything else, what did a conversation take place, or what happened?
So like you're saying, one of the greatest things is to ask questions, right? You got to keep asking questions. John Maxwell talks about this all the time. Ask the question, very specific question, be intriguing. So I started asking questions. I started hanging out with these guys. I said, man, I got to find out what they're doing. This is crazy. They are my dream. I want to be like them. So yeah, they were all contractors, and I couldn't understand because I don't know anything about roofing or construction. I don't have a background. My family's not from this. But I know that contractors get up early in the morning. It's sunrise to sundown. Like, it's long hours, long days. It's 6 days a week. Like, know a little bit about it from seeing there's a lot of construction in Myrtle Beach. So, and I asked him, I said, how do you get up in the morning? Like, what's your trick? Like, how do you do it? I'm working hard, like 2 jobs. It's hard. They said, Martin, we don't. So what do you mean you don't? I said, doesn't matter. If we get up in the morning or we get kicked off a job or, they were working for a general contractor, if they don't call us back or they're mad or that we get fired, we'll go to the next contractor because there's somebody else. There's so much work out there. That was 2007. That it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Now I'm like, oh my gosh, like my fuel, like cortisol through my body. I'm like, this is BS, man. Like, you really don't care and you're making like everything is going well with you. It's not all about the money, but now I found like my mission again. I'm like, okay, I cannot be goal oriented that much. I need to be mission oriented. That's it. I'm going to take the con. And I didn't realize this for a long time. Like, I'm saying this like that day I realized it, but it took me years to really understand what happened that day. But I want to take the con out of contractors. So whenever I'm coming in now, I'm seeing Rico, it's very powerful. Get to a point like I want to dominate everybody because I know I can do better than other people. My company can provide a winner what it deserves the best. Installation, warranties, and services. If I believe this, and I believe that my mission to give back to veterans, to other people, I want to be the best. I want to crush everybody. So every time, every morning, you talk about fuel a little bit before, I'm thinking about those guys. So those guys, they might be still out there, and it's so deep, and it's Rolodex of fuel sometimes, right? Like in my mirror at the my gym is in my house, so in my mirror I write things that gets me excited or fueled. So pains or something. So I write on my wall. So whenever I have a bad day going in the gym, I got somebody to fuel me, something. But these guys, okay, so going to work, it was so intense that I started going to work at 6:30. I would see cars. It didn't matter if they were roofing contractor. I'd just see a car in the road, like, damn it, somebody beat me to it today. Then I'm like, all right, it's gotta be 5:15. Somebody else beat me to it today. It's gonna be 5 o'clock, and then there was nobody in the road. Like, okay, 5 o'clock, I'm beating everybody. I'm never gonna be out of work. Okay, I'm gonna do so hard. I'm gonna go harder than anybody else because it's my duty to give back to the community. And I'm thinking like maybe my mom's gonna get a roof from these guys or society or whatever it is. I cannot. They gotta get away. I gotta find a way to crush them.
Right. That's amazing. Right. And just also like the mindset that goes along with that, just, the getting up early, right? The beating the day right from the onset, right? It does something to the psyche. I think that you attack the day from like a totally different perspective too. And whether or not like you even have to, go straight into the office or not, sometimes just getting up early, just to literally jump in the car, drive to the gym or drive to the beach or, wherever it is. And you just kind of take that moment and that 90% of America is like still in bed. There is something very, very powerful about having that control for the day, right? And I think of like when we'll probably talk about like morning routines and rituals and things like that most entrepreneurs have to see if you have some of those. But like that's always like one of those moments like where when I'm on the road first thing in the morning, like I just feel like I've got control over the entire day. Right. So what happened next? So now all of a sudden now you're looking at the industry, you're in the business now. How did you go and expand from there to, this $43 million empire and growing? Did you just have like immediate success in the business or were you getting your teeth kicked in?
It was a disaster, man. It was a disaster for a long time. Like
Right.
I didn't know anything and it's a disaster, but at the same time, I was in the right environment. Maybe some people are not as privileged to do that. I think I was because I didn't have a family, didn't have kids. It was just me. So I don't have to worry if I made a mistake, I lost money, I was working at night. I just gonna have to work more nights, so I didn't have cash. I didn't have connection. I didn't have roofing experience. I didn't have business experience. I just started not right out of college, a couple of little jobs. So it was kind of an advantage because even if I messed up, I was not like, oh my gosh, what's my wife's going to say? And, you have responsibility. So that was kind of a privilege to me. So I could go and I think we learn from books we read and people we meet, 100%. But we also learn from mistakes and we talk about this together. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to try and error because everybody would talk to Rico. And that's a big problem in, I think, any industry, roofing, maybe a little bit more, I'm victim of this the same way, but we're very protective. We think that what we're doing is unique and that we're the Mavericks. There's nobody else is doing it. And I don't want to share anything with anybody else. So, and I understand there's cares to share some tricks, but I couldn't really get any information from other people. And every time I would get information, it was not really the right one. Like they were not really telling me what really works. Like, well, you can try something like that. Like I'll try something like that. It wouldn't work.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to put my head down and try everything and then create a disastrous stories. Like first job we sold for a metal roof, like a year in. Rico, I'm so excited, man. I call my brother. I say, Yannick, in Canada, I said, I just made it. I got it. I figured it out. I just sold a $33,000 roof. It's a metal roof. I never sold one of those before, but $33,000. That's what I made last year in my pay for the whole year. Now I'm making this in one job. Of course, it's no profit and everything else, but the numbers, like, wow,
right.
Crazy.
Right.
And then then I figure out the metal, like a metal shop, local place. It helped me tremendously. Great partnership, by the way. It's very important to get the right panels and the crew. I find that they were doing shingles for us, for me. It was just me. They were doing metal as well. We finished the job. Labor and material only, the total cost, it was $38,000. So the first job we did, we lose $5,000. Plus, not my time, my fuel, I didn't have an office, but overhead phones and things like this, just surviving, my food, not included. So we talk about like $10,000 lost.
Right.
So like, what a disaster. I call my brother back, like, I'm coming home. That's it.
That's funny, right? Like from a huge victory to an immediate disaster. And I think like every contractor has had, if not one, a few of those disasters until they just finally get their teeth kicked in enough times. So you're like, whoa, hold on. What am I missing here? Right.
Yeah, and it was perfect. Now getting back, I'm like, you know what? Now I'm going to look at how much it cost me to do the metal roof, what the labor cost. Then I can do some metrics to know what the cost is and what I got to charge, really. So with the Excel sheet, again, college helped me. A lot of people say college is overrated. I think college is great education. I think I learned so much for learning English, speaking English, writing in English. And then and I'm not really good at English, by the way. Don't quote me, and I'm great. Okay, I'm not saying I'm great in English, but I'm able to use Excel sheet, Word documents, doing our professional presentation. It helped me a lot through college. But yeah, so I knew how to estimate metal roof now. So bingo, now I can go and I'll make my money back. And I had to work in great men. The suppliers, I know a lot of people relate to this, but I would work at night. Valley Inn, make $300, $400, $500 sometimes a night, which was phenomenal. I called my mom one day. I'm like, Mom, I think I found my calling, because I'm making $1,000 2-3 nights a week. I can play golf all day, every day, and just do this. So it was easy money. But it's seasonal a little bit, and it's it's not you want to build a career, right? So it's more fulfilling. So yeah, so I started giving back. Like every Monday, I would go by and would bring him cash. There we go. There's $300. I'll see you next week. And then I started doing this every week, and it would see me no matter what. Every Monday, I would drop some money because I owed him like $6,000. I'm like, to me, again, it's $1 million at this point. Right. But keep it close so they don't call tax collection, whatever it is. On us. So
yeah. So then what was like the next move from there? Like, what was your when did you start? Did you have a crossroad where you were like, okay, this is kind of doing okay. We know that there's a lot of potential, but there's things that I'm just not aware of yet. And I need to find new information, right? And I need to implement new things in my business. And if that happened, what were those things that you implemented in your business that kind of was the catalyst for the success that you're having now?
Yeah, there's a lot of you call aha moments, from 3 million to 6 million to 12, there's 17. There's things we implemented that changed, that gave us a massive boost that created this. But one of them, I think the first one, the most important, and I got this again, it took me a couple years before I understood what happened, but the book by Tim Grover called Relentless, we give this book to every new employees, no matter what. I probably bought 1,000 book, not only because I'm turnover, we don't have 1,000 employees, but we have like 107 employees right now. But it's really to give to people, other roofing companies that we help. When we go help their company, we buy that book for the employees as well. I'm that big on Tim Grover. But in that book, it lets you allow yourself, because I feel like we all have this in ourselves. I don't know if it's a primal mode or something that's in your mind, that we want to be hunters, because we all have this in our mind, because we're humans. Like, we came from cavemen, like that's our natural environment back then, right? But we kind of want to be civilized. Want to be civilized. But the back of your mind, you're like, you know what? I got another couple gears. I want to go and crush it. But again, civilization tones you down. But that book is like, you're allowed to become a cleaner, it calls it, and become obsessed with what you're doing. It's okay to dominate and become the best, because that's what the best in the world do. Tim Grover coaches Michael Jordan, Dwayne Wade, Kobe Bryant. And he said it's okay to want to be the best and allow yourself to be the guy that gets the attention, that's going to crush it. Because he said those guys that are at that level, they get addicted to winning. Okay, so it's a little bit, anything you're doing in life and you start to win, you want to do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. So these guys, Michael Jordan and the elite athletes, Tiger Woods talks about this, it cannot stop. They don't have a beast mode, or, it's not turn on, turn it off. They're just beasts.
They're just beasts. Right.
They start winning. They're winning. It gets addictive because they just want more and more. And they just focus in on one thing, which is basketball. Tiger Woods, if I take Tiger Woods playing hockey, I can probably beat him, right? But he's so good at golf. And I'm opening up a whole new topic right now. But we build our business. We're trying to do a little bit, I call them GOATs, right? They're the greatest of all time, like Tom Brady. But then you have JOT, which are jack of all trades. We're a little bit like this. We build a business like this because you have an employee that's doing 10 different duties, and you're trying to get him to be the best in the world at all the 10. Otherwise, you're upset. Where the best athletes in the world, they only focus on a few things. So my dedication to stop doing everything else than just roofing. We did drywall, siding, we did all the trades at the beginning. But I said roofing, we can bring value, because first of all, homeowners, not like we do drywall, Rico, you can touch, feel drywall or painting. It's really hard because you have go backs and I want to talk to the owner. Like, oh man, I got to go. It's
right.
Pulling fires all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Roofing, I hate to say that, but when's the last time you saw a homeowner go on the roof?
Right.
They don't go on roofs, and really, it's hard to know which roof, what kind of roof it is. That's why John Senak has a name that shingles right online for a roofing contractor, asking that what's that shingle? Because it's hard to identify even for roofing contractors. Imagine for a homeowner. Imagine to know if the lines are right or if you have 6 nails or the installation is right. They all look the same, really. So it's not about that. Of course, we're roofers, so if you go to the doctor's got doctorates. You don't ask him, hey, are you good doctors? You're going to be like, you're a doctor, you're my doctor. You're closer to my house, I'm someone to select you. You have availability, I'm going to use you. But roofers the same way. Like, it's not about that. It's not about the installation. Of course, if your reputation is terrible, you have a 2-star rating on Google, like, forget it. But we got to take that for granted. We got to be a little bit more advanced. So focusing on roofing was probably my first thing that I've done. Allowing myself to become the best I can and be better and working those hours and just go a little bit primal, man. I don't know how to explain it. Just go in and be who I feel like I can be. Just go all in, all out. As long as it's going to take, that's what I'm doing. Let's see what happens. Really committed to it at all costs. And we'll see in 10 years. If it doesn't work, I'll do something else. Right.
It's funny because we were kind of talking about a similar subject prior to recording, right? Where it's like we almost live in a day and age now where it's unacceptable to want to dominate. It's unacceptable to just totally want to not beat the competition, but just crush the competition, because it sounds primal. It sounds like it's confrontational. It's aggressive, but it doesn't have to be, right? Like, and I think that a lot of athletes have this, right? Regardless if you're playing, a guy like you and you're just dedicated to golf, or someone like me who, enjoys martial arts, right? And that was, I love, Brazilian jiu-jitsu and all sorts of different martial arts, right? You have that competitive edge. There's a lot of people that don't have that competitive edge, and that's fine as well. But understand that just because look at a boxing match, you look at a UFC fight, these guys are beating themselves to a bloody pulp. And then as soon as that round is over, they're like, man, great fight. All right, cool. I'll see you at the gym next week. All right, no hard feelings. Remember, barbecue next month. They just wanted to kill each other 30 seconds ago. They were looking to dominate. They were looking to crush the competition. But all the while, they're in the same industry. They're in that fight together. They're trying to one up each other, right? And there's this friendly competition that goes on. And I think that and Jordan Peterson talks about this as well, where he talks about we as men need to be aggressive. You want to be a beast, right? There's a monster. Yeah, you want to be a monster, right? You want to be a monster, and you don't want to be a monster because, and this is something that that I've heard. It's either, again, from the martial arts community, but there's something to be said about people talk about like being compassionate, right? And like that's, should be really passive and really compassionate, but it's being compassionate and being nice and being like a pushover, because that's the only choice that you have, is not anything to be proud of, right? What I think really separates entrepreneurs and men and people that are really moving the needle in their industry is having the ability to be a monster, having the ability to just totally dominate, but choosing to be passive, choosing to be, softer and willing to give back. Right. The other thing too is, that the Chinese proverb, where they talk about it's better to be a warrior in a garden, right, than a gardener in a war. And when you think about in the context of business, like how big that is, and yet nobody's really willing to talk about, and you could still dominate, but then also look at your colleagues, look to people in the industry and say, hey, you know what? This is what's working for me so that I can dominate. Let me give you the tools that I'm using so that you can dominate and you can crush it in your own way. because just because you're getting rich doesn't mean that I can't get rich in the exact same neighborhood, by the way. Like there's
Why not?
legitimately, there's more than enough to go around. But again, only the strong survive. Only the fit are going to make it to the very, very top. And that's what, that friendly competition should be. It should be about how do you take that and just perfect your craft. And then you make the next guy or the next company, they have to up their game. And then you look at them like 6 months later, and you're like, whoa, what happened to them? Why the big turnaround? Why am I losing 2% market share? Whatever that looks like, I got to up my game. To me, guess who wins in that situation? First of all, the community wins, right? The community wins because more people are getting employed. More people are getting better service. More homeowners are getting better service from better quality companies. And all of that came from a true, genuine, burning desire to dominate your industry. And in order to do that, you got to dominate yourself as an entrepreneur. You got to dominate the processes and the systems that you put in place. There's a lot of small little areas of life that often get overlooked that you have to like really sit back, analyze, and dominate it in order for you to go ahead and provide that overall servicing experience to your customers. What's your take on all of that?
Man, it's so powerful, Rico. That's why we talk and we get along, because it's you're doing for a greater purpose. It's not about like, I want to make all the money in the world and crush. You want to crush everybody for sure, but it's for a good cause. So I think allowing myself to crush it because my intentions are to give back. I want to give back to the community. And I also know that the homeowners, if somebody else do the roof, okay, Mike said that. Mike Fleury was one of our salesman beginnings, one of our partner, one of our business. Now he said, if I sell a roof and I'm not selling it, Martin, I feel like it's a disservice. It's not because I don't make money. He's like, he was commissioned back then. It's not because I don't make money, but I know that somebody else will do the roof and it's going to be a disservice for that person. And he's like, I can't sleep at night because of that. And he's the nicest guy you can ever meet, but that was his trigger. He's like, okay, if I don't sell it, maybe, and he's thinking about the company that's average could be doing this roof. I'm not doing that. We are allergic to average. I think we need to crush average. The guys that are at the top, perfect. Let's be best friends. The guys average, that's where we got to be dangerous. In making money, tell you, Rico, when I first moved to Myrtle Beach, I looked to 3 different churches. And in my thing, like in Canada, it's Catholic. So it's people, again, it's a little bit different. They have Latin services. So it's really hard to get engaged with the pastor and everything else. Nobody goes to church much, over there. So they haven't evolved, right? So I won't talk negative about this, but that's what's happening. So I did 3 different churches. I would go to first church at the end. In my mindset, it was like they're greedy. In America, churches are business. That was my mind going in. And the first pastor says at the end, give back to the church. You got to give back to your community. Give back. I'm like, oh man, he's begging for money. I don't want that. Second church, same thing. Third church, same thing. But the pastor put it away. That was like, oh, now I'm starting to get it. I feel like God was giving me that same message. I don't know if it's every church in America is always like this, but 3 for 3. So I'm like, either it's talking to me directly or it's like this across. But he said, it's okay to be successful. It's okay to want to make money. Go out there. And even if you have to use the church and your Christianity and your, because you see people have that cross or fish on their trucks. He's like, it's okay to do that. He didn't say that, but he said, it's okay to use all your tools to be successful only if you have the right intentions and you want to give back to God, back to church, and back to community. At that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm another way to unleash myself to go out and be okay, to not care about the other guys that, they might not, I want to be nice. You can do this. No. I got to get all the jobs. They're all mine now. The entire town, the homeowner wanted town, the street, the neighborhood, and the whole town, it's got to be ours. And then again, it will never get to this point anyways. Like there's always other people, but it trims away the bad ones because there's plenty of work for everybody. But by saying this, even if the pastor's talking about this, I'm like, okay, this is speaking to me. If my intention is to give back in the right intention, it's not to just, I want to make money because I need to buy a boat. It's a, you can say, Rico, I'm going a little too hard. Sometimes people tell me this, like, yeah, I took a vacation last month. I went home in Canada, my hometown, one time. My longest vacation other than that was my honeymoon, was 4 days. So I can take a weekend off or go places, but I'm so committed to this.
But you're happy, right? But you're happy doing what you're doing. And this is where I think a lot of people get like all of this stuff wrong, right?
But what is happiness?
Right. So people are like, hey, Martin, man, you're just working yourself to the bone. You can't do that. Then like Martin's like jamming out, like, 5 o'clock in the morning, he's smiling ear to ear. It's like, if you're happy doing your thing, just be. Now, look, on the reverse side of it, you wake up tomorrow and you're like, you know what? I don't feel like talking about roofs for another day in my life. And you can walk away and just go play golf or do whatever else it is that you want and be happy with that decision. Like, then that's right. Or if you're the lifestyle,
You're right.
the lifestyle owner, the solarpreneur, the guy who just wants to do a couple of projects and then go on a vacation, do a couple more projects, bro, like that's fine. Do you? We all need people of all different calibers. Like that's what makes, life so unique. But yeah, it's just a real funny dynamic. So I wanted we were talking about some of the 3 questions that you wish that more business owners asked if they wanted to be more successful. That's what I want you to go ahead and let us know what you think those 3 questions should be. But before you do that, let's just go ahead and take a quick moment to thank our sponsors, and we'll be right back. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. How would you like to increase productivity? How would you like faster claims resolution? And more importantly, how would you like to reduce litigation? Well, this is exactly what Impartial allows you to do. Impartial creates timely, accurate estimates for faster and fair claim settlement. Building upon Matterport's technology, the Impartial Scope tool extracts the relevant data embedded with pre-mitigation and post-mitigation scans and subsequently renders an Xactimate or assemblability estimate that can be approved by a carrier without any hesitation. The magic here is that the software helps contractors generate mitigation and repair estimates for more rapid approval from insurance carriers while removing the burdensome administrative process. Each Impartial estimate is produced with objective accuracy using immersive 3D imagery and precise physical and geospatial measurements. Impartial, in my opinion, is one of those tools that simply can go ahead and change your business. And with so many features such as impartial tags, timestamp matter tags, the ability to upload JPEG, PNG, ESX, and so much more. Impartial is that software that could genuinely change your business. Make sure that you check them out in the video description below or in the show notes and see for yourself. Hey, Dominators, real quick, let me ask you a question. Have policyholders struggled to come up with your money because it's held with the mortgage company? Or does the percentage of uncollected debt that you collected in 2021 exceed over 2.5%? Or even better, let me ask you this. Do you dread negotiating with your policyholder when it comes time to collect your final payment and deductible? So look, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then you need to check out Sureti. You see, Sureti is a third-party fund control company. And what they do is they ensure that you get paid faster and, more importantly, completely for the hard work that your crews are doing. Sureti relieves not only the policyholder, but you of tremendous administrative burden while ensuring the claims process and, more importantly, the proceeds flow via ACH to the rightful owner, you, the restorer. And here's the best part. For less than the average credit card fee, Sureti delivers on numerous fronts. So here's what I want you to do. If you want to learn more about how Sureti can help you, I want you to head on over to www.sureti.com/dominate and request a free demo today. Now listen, Restoration Domination listeners just like you are going to receive a really cool offer, and here it is. You're going to receive an exclusive offer which includes free processing for the first insurance claims check and 3 months of free access within their network. Again, that's Sureti, SURETI.com/dominate. Photo documentation is possibly one of the most important aspects of what it is that we do in the restoration business. Not only so that the client knows exactly what's going on, but also so that you can prove your work to insurance companies. One of the best ways that I found to go ahead and document our projects is by using CompanyCam. CompanyCam is an amazing app. It has so many features, everything from timestamped and GPS located photos, individual project files, unlimited unlimited photo storage, in-app communication with your crew, a live stream of all of your projects as the photos are coming in, as if it was an Instagram feed. So from a managerial standpoint, CompanyCam can help you there as well. But more importantly, it gives you the ability to protect your organization while documenting and keeping everything nice and neat. So we've got a really special offer for you. If you go to companycam.com/dominate, not only will you get your 14-day free trial, but you're also going to get the first 2 months 50% off. So again, head on over to companycam.com/dominate, get the app, and I'm sure you're going to love it. All right, so we are back. So again, so where we left off, the 3 questions, right, that you wish more business owners were asking if they want to be wildly successful. What are those?
Yeah, I mean, we start with what they need, and it's just to take the time. You asked me this before, Rico, like what can we do before the day starts? What I need to do today? What action can I take to advance my company? And one of it, to me, it's always going back, and we'll talk about this, about customer experience, but also how we can create referrals, because we're in business. We got to make money. We got to grow. So, and there's a ton of thoughts there. Okay, but what can I do today to start doing this, improving this? And that's easy. It'll spark 20 ideas right away. What's the future is going to look like? What you need to do to get to where you want to be? And again, it's not so much, it's interval. We say like, don't set goals. You have a mission, but there's also intervals in between. Like if you say like, I don't want to, like next year I want to be 50 million. That's a goal, but it's not the end. It's like the mission never stops. It's going to be more. And then what we can learn from the past, I think that's very important. Like it's a trick one on this one. I always go back a little bit because you can become a little bit more, instead of being an entrepreneur and looking in the future. I see some of our manager that the biggest problem that happens when they think of manager, they're like, okay, let's use what we learned before to make the decision for the future. Well, now they always look in the past. So they never really evolve, but they control the business. Now the control, you don't have to worry about it. If a manager comes in, oh, you're set. You don't have to worry about it too much because they're going to use what you learned, what your company's doing for a future decision. But it's changing all the time. You got to change all the time. There's going to be a storm tomorrow. What happens? Completely different process. We got to evolve, adapt. That's what an entrepreneur looking in the future, I think, is even more important. And you mentioned a great one,
Yeah. So you had originally, so basically you're to kind of summarize some of the three top questions that every business owner should be asking themselves if they wanted to be more successful. To summarize your point, number 1 is what can I do today? Number 2, what can I do tomorrow that's going to continue pushing the needle forward? And then number 3 was, what do you wish that you would have known sooner? And then I added one additional one to that, which is, thank you, which is, what is it that I don't know that's keeping me from insert blank, right? Like, what is it that's keeping me from growing my business today? What is it that's keeping me from getting more sales today? What's keeping me from becoming more efficient? What's keeping me from having better tax planning or better this or better that, right? Like insert blank. And that from me came from, and we were talking about this, came from, being first generation American, immigrant parents not asking those questions, right? And how I kind of felt like for a long time, it's like somewhat of a disadvantage, right? Because I was like, man, I didn't know what I didn't know. So now everything that, that I do, I'm constantly asking myself, like, what is it that I don't know about this situation, right? Because even if it's something in funny story, and I shared it with you, and I'm going to share it again publicly because my wife is going to get a kick out of this. So
I love the story. It's awesome.
So I'm in my 40s, and I've been to the gym several times in my life. Started going to the gym, at a relatively young age, especially with martial arts and all that stuff. And I've been using a gym bag for a very, very, very long time. And my wife is extremely meticulous. Like she's very, very organized, and she's got like all of her clothes in her gym bag. We just recently joined a new gym that just opened up relatively close to us. Real nice high-end, fitness club. It's more like a country club type feel. But anyways, so she was packing her bag, and I was like, man, I'm so jealous of her bag. And she sees me like just jamming gym shorts in there and pants and this and that, and she's like, hey,
she doesn't like it. She's looking at you like, what are you doing?
Yeah, she's like, do you need some help with that? And of course, I'm like a typical guy, I'm like, of course I need help with this. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So here she is, she's like folding all my clothes, she's like putting it in the gym bag, blah 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 blah, and then she hands me the bag. It's still open because I need to get my shoes in there, so I take my shoes and I put it in the center of the bag. Boom. And she goes, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm putting my shoes in the bag for when oh yeah. She goes, why don't you put it on the side? I was like, what do you mean? She goes, that's what that's for. Like this. So if you look at like most gym bags, like on the side, they typically have like 2 zippers on the side, or at least 1 zipper on the side. And it has like a lot of extra like fabric there. And it never dawned on me, mind you, I've been using a gym bag for years. And she just like takes my pair of shoes and she's like, look, puts it through the side of the bag, and it's got, it's like protecting the shoe. And it's like making sure that my dirty shoe isn't on my clean clothes. And I was just sitting there for a second. I was like, holy shit. I've been using a gym bag forever. And I never
so embarrassing. You're like, oh no.
Yeah.
She's already thinking that I'm not really that smart now.
Oh yeah. Yeah. For like
I'm married, by the way. So
for like, she goes, really? You never knew that? I was like, no, it never dawned on me. I didn't know that that's what that was for. And she was like really loving it, because usually I'm the one who's like, you didn't know this, you didn't know that, you didn't know that. So she doesn't get a whole lot of those, but when she gets it, boy, does she hold on to them, right? But to me, that was actually a lesson, right? Because something as simple as a gym bag, I never stopped for a second and asked, what are my crucial questions? What is it that I don't know about this thing? Like, how can I make this better? How can I make it more efficient? How can I make this suit this situation better for my life? And all along, it was that extra pocket to store your shoes in, right? So like, if you apply that principle, that life principle now, think about how many times you're on a sales call and you didn't know that you think that you're killing it, right? Because you're maybe closing 80% of your deals and your customers love you. But are you asking yourself the question of, what am I doing? What is it that I don't know that I should be doing right now? Or what is it that 5 years from now, I'm going to wish that I was doing right now? Those are such powerful questions, because now you get into this auto examination mode. And then inevitably your brain, just by asking yourself that question, your brain needs to come up with an answer or find a solution. This is where you're going to start having relationships with like bigger and, brighter people, right? Or people that have made bigger mistakes than you, which are huge life lessons too, right? And just by asking that series of questions, like, what can I do today? What can I do tomorrow? What is it that, I could learn from the past? And then what is it that I don't know about the situation? That's like the perfect set of questions that I think could be like that guiding star for, any entrepreneur to, get to whatever their destination is. So now the question is REEVA, right? So now you've got, you figured a lot of shit out. You've built and scaled your business. Part of that success, I'm assuming, was a lot of processes, procedures, documents, SOPs, if you will. So now you've built all of this through trial and error, some heartache and everything else. At what point did you say, hey, look, we want to start giving back to the rest of our professional community? And then how did that whole concept come to be?
Great question. And, and then I think to answer one question, you talk about, we don't know what you don't know. What can you do? And we learn from other people, and it's something like I learned, like looking back, I should have done this more. Like, I'm mad at myself, and I applaud millennials because they do that. We're in their 40s. I'm in my 40s too. I'm like, I love millennials because they want to learn. They want to ask questions, and sometimes like, why ask so many questions? No, they're asking questions. We do an event. You want to tap into REEVA? We do an event. There's a lot of millennials, and they're taking notes, asking questions. Like, my gosh, these guys are gonna crush it because they understand technology even better, a lot better than we do. We got to be honest with ourselves. So, or we're a lot better than our parents, right? So there's going to be generation. So it's only going to get worse for us. So I applaud them because they want to learn. So event wise, if you want to learn what you don't know, go to an event. Like, my favorite one is the GAF Wealth Builder. If you're a Master League contractor, it's a must. The only one event I want to go to, and I'm going there every year, no matter what. The RE is good as well, but this is the one. The roofing process is coming up in December. Of course, it's going to be awesome. STG is great. There's a lot of good events, but to go to those events to get exposed to information that you don't know. And the first one I went to was in Utah. Rico, I always remember, okay, I'm so busy. I'm working on my apartment. I got Master League contractor certification like 2 weeks before that. The rep comes in my house, my apartment, and that was my office, my apartment, everything in there. He says, Martin, you need to go to the Wealth Builder. I'm like, you need to go Wealth Builder. First of all, he said, you want to be Master Elite. I'm going to make sure you're Master Elite. I said, I can't be Master Elite. I'm going to have to charge a lot of money for warranties and stuff like this. I'm not that level yet. forget it. But he convinced me of that, and he said, you got to go to this well builder in Utah. You have to go. I'm like, Utah? It's going to be a full day of traveling there, a full day travel back, plus 2 days there. That's 4 days. You crazy, man? I don't have time for this. I need to work. My guys need me in the trenches, right? You have $2-3 million. You're so in the trenches, and I applaud everybody that's at the level right now, because that's the hardest part. If you can make it through those 3-4 to get to 12 million, the light in the tunnel was at 12 million. It's again, I would push that, but I went there, and Rico, it was red eye because I maximized my time. I'm so exhausted, and then the 2 days were mind blowing. I learned so much. I was like, what an idiot for those 5-6 first years. I didn't do this. This is gold. I'm asking questions. The guy's like, oh yeah, just do that. Are you serious, man? You give me that information? Because it's a contractor from across the country, from everywhere. We really don't compete at that point. They want to share what they're doing and what we're doing. And really, guys, like, there's not much difference between the markets. We travel the whole country with Reeva. I've been everywhere with GF Reeva. I've traveled probably into, I think I'm at 19th trip right now for the year. So in different locations, different roofing contractors and events. So it's the same concept. We just don't want to share each other. When you go there, you can learn things that you don't know. So traveling, learning from events, I think it's number one. Books and people you meet, but that's where you meet the best.
Yeah, I love it, man. So and I totally forgot that we were like asking. I was just asked you a question, and now I totally forgot what that was.
The Reeva, yeah. So you're talking about,
that's what it was. I was like, wait, what the fuck were we talking about? Yeah. Thank God for editing. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. So with Reeva, yes, we've been traveling a lot, and again, it's the same mission. We want to get the homeowner what they deserve the best through other roofing companies. And what we've seen, like the process is very similar. I wrote a book. I was telling you about this, the Roofing Machine, available on Amazon. Not, just a plug, but it's great because it's free if you have a Kindle account. So I mean, I'm giving you free information. If you have Audible, it's like $6, so there's no excuse not to have it. But
and I'm going to go ahead and provide a link to the book in the video description below, as well as in the show notes. And then, of course, you could always go on to restorationdomination.com, look up this episode, and there's going to be tons of information, some additional resources on there. So make sure that you head on over there. But go ahead.
What we did for the last 15 years, I really felt like I was being selfish. About 5 years ago, 2018, we started doing the roofing machine concept. So everybody says you got to work on your business, not in your business. But that's, I mean, to me, every time I hear this, like, bullshit, prove me. You're like, how are you going to do this? You have $3 million? Go tell the guy $3 million, you got to work on your business. He's like, yeah, pipe dream, buddy. I got to bring materials to your job site. I got to do some invoicing. I go pick up checks. There's a leak over there. And I got to go sell some roofs. You can't do it. It's too much, right?
Right.
So I was able to get to 12 million. When I got to 12 million, it gave me the opportunity to have a manager, and then really went closer to 17 at that point. Manager in Myrtle Beach, Wilmington, and Hilton Head as a general manager. So I became a CEO. I was able to not work in the business. I had no day-to-day anymore. So I took everything we did, the process procedure of Monarch Roofing, and the machine, the structure, how we're going to do hiring, like everything. I make a system out of everything, study a system of everything for 6 months. That's all I did. Then it was a failure in Hilton Head. I'm like, crap. I got to go myself back because it's falling apart. Like, it's bad. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back. It's 4 hours away from here. I thank my wife for forever for this. Let me do this crazy things. But I spent almost a year on and off, but a lot of times 5-6 days. Sometimes I wouldn't come up for 2 weeks. But I implemented the roofing machine, everything we put down, because it was built to go back. It was built to franchise it. That was my mindset at that point. I want to franchise it. I can just the roof in the bag. That was in the box. That's what I'm going to do. So I implemented everything in Hilton Head, and there was a lot of adaptation that I thought it was going to be exactly that, but it was even the template and the process had to be retweaked a little bit, and then it exploded. We went from 2.5 million to 8 million to 14 million. It keeps going crazy. The same thing happened in Hilton Head and Wilmington and Myrtle Beach. So the data is there. It really works. So when I'm seeing this, I'm looking back last year. I'm like, it's crazy. It's working so well. It's simple. Like, it's not every ideas that you have. Like, we need validation as humans. Like, you probably know it. Like, you got to do this, but then somebody else tell you, oh yeah, I'm definitely doing it now because I know it's working. Right. You're just like, how much is it going to cost me to do this? I'm just going to keep my own way. So we're able to implement this in other roofing companies. And I was selfish because I want to do like one more location, go to Charleston, right between Hilton Head and Myrtle Beach. It's just great place. There's so much work there. It's phenomenal. But I can do one location, Raleigh, whatever, Columbia, go Florida, go in Miami, come see you. But I'm saying I'm not really impacting as many homeowners as I probably can. So why are we not showing the whole country through REEVA what we did? And then now it can impact roofing contractors across the country. So it can impact more roofing contractors, more homeowners at the end to get what they deserve the best. So we're changing the platform now. The stakes are a lot wider, a lot bigger. So I can do my mission even more. It takes more energy now. Like, oh, my wife is like, in like November, Tom, last year, October, I come home, Rico, and I'm like, honey, I've been going really hard, and I got this roofing process was coming, and I said, I got an idea. She's like, oh boy.
Oh God, here we go again. Right.
Yeah. And I've been traveling to Hilton Head to look at our locations for a while. I'm not here, never. So she's like, okay, what is it? She's like, I'm going to teach the industry about what we did, the roofing machine. The book's almost done now. I'm just going to unleash it to everybody. She's like, oh my God, it's a terrible idea. But we did it. And then it's great because I get to really impact the fulfillment to help others grow and hear the good story about Martin. We went from 5 million to 10 million, but the key is it's structure. I'm not stressed out as much anymore. I know who I got to hire next. I know that person that we hired in our business, we switched them instead of fired them because they're not performing. They're in a different position. They're crushing it now. Our pay schedule, our marketing, our branding is different, our mission, our core values. So we help them implementing a lot of new things.
Right. And a lot of things that you focus on is, again, which is something that I really appreciate, is you're not trying to work harder. You're trying to really maximize what you currently have and the resources that you currently have and maximizing those resources. One of them being the lifeblood of the business, which happens to be referrals. And that's like something that you guys have done really well, is just having this huge, massive referral machine. Talk to us a little bit about that, and kind of for maybe like the roofer that's out there is like, well, should I be paying more attention to, what's going on and what these guys are teaching, kind of let them, kind of excite them a little bit, let them wet their beak a little bit with what some of these, referral systems can mean to the business.
So a lot of people ask us like, man, you have a big business. You must be spending like hundreds of thousands in marketing. And it's not like, it's a fugazi. Like, we were spending all the money that goes to marketing is driven to get referrals. So if I can give a tip to anybody, I want to do some marketing, some referrals, because, and everybody can agree with this, 70% of our closing rate goes through if we do get referrals. So if we get a referrals, we're going to close it 70% of the time. Mm-hmm. Everything else, Rico.
And money's usually not the objection at that point. It's no longer, money's not the objection at that point, which is an important thing to highlight. And this is important for several reasons. Number one, to recognize that referrals, that's a benefit. But then also on the flip side of that, right, money would not have been an objection to the prospect, to the person that you're knocking on their door, if they would have been referred to you, right? So if they would have had their mother, their father, their cousin, their brother, their boss, someone would have recommended them to you, and you would have given them the price would not have been the objection, right? So kind of that's like a little tidbit to like when that objection price comes up, don't take too much weight on that, right? But anyways.
Yeah, so if you take all your leads, okay, so we took all our leads, 70% closing rate on referrals, less than 10% on everything else, Google ads, Facebook. Because somebody goes on Google, roofer near me, they're probably calling 3-4 people, right?
Yeah, they're price shopping.
You're going to compete.
Right.
Yes. So there's not like, hey, what about a referral that was not sold, or somebody that was not sold that was price driven? Referrals, it's a referral that gives you the closing rate, not your price, not what you offer, your company is the referral. It's somebody telling you that to use that company. It's crazy. Even Jeff Bezos says that. How crazy. Jeff Bezos, a Mongol, right? The master of online buying. Like, it's crazy what he's doing. Revolution in the industry. He said it. He said, as soon as I get a referral, game over. Somebody tells their friends about Amazon, we're done. Yep. I'm going to win all day. And that's, we learn from other people and the books we read. So where is that connection? If my friends tell me to use that, I'm going to use it. You told me about a book already. I wrote it down. I'm going to read this book, right? That's how we operate. So love it, man. So if you can Okay, so the marketing, if you come to Myrtle Beach, you'll be like, Martin, you're full of it because I see your billboards everywhere. So your trucks everywhere, your billboards everywhere. You're definitely spending some money. Your buildings right on the main highway, which is a great thing for repetition on the brain. And, I love billboard because it's repetition. They said you need 5 to 12 times you need to see your logo or you, Rico, before I'm going to buy from you. So 80% of sales happen between 5 and 12. That helps us to get there naturally without even doing much. But all those are paid by others. So it's hard when you have 1 million, 2 million. When you get to 3 million, you can probably buy almost $1 million worth of materials. So a lot of contractors, instead of buying from different suppliers, which it's hard right now because I need Biscayne blue shingles, like they don't have it anywhere. So I'm going to go for whatever supplier has it, right?
Right.
But if you can focus all your eggs, it said spread your eggs in different baskets. Put all your eggs with the supplier. Go and meet them all. Identify which one you can work with. It can give you the best service. Buy everything from there. Trying to get to 1 million. Once you get to 1 million, you're going to be on the map with them. Suppliers, they don't want to deal with 10 different contractors. They can have one contractor because what happens is suppliers, they have to teach us how to order materials, the way they can do it, who they got to call every day when you have a delivery. So if they can do one process with one company, they're going to maximize their profit because it's less headaches. So they want to deal with one. What happens is going to be able to get rebates, and everybody knows this, rebates from suppliers, rebates from the manufacturer with GAF. And it's crazy, Rico, but last year we hit $1 million in rebates. It's the first time we ever done that. Imagine this. Is there a business in the volume? Hell yeah, there's a business in the volume. More you do, more you're going to get back. You get attention. We get attention from all suppliers, and they all want our business now, right? So I think there's something powerful there that and then you get co-ops on this. So we have co-op paying for billboards, co-op paying, ask your suppliers, can you help me? They'll help you. Can you help me do a billboard? They'll pay half. It doesn't matter. They don't even have to put their logos. Half the time they don't want us to put their logo on there.
Right. They just want the business. Right.
Yeah, they want partnership. What's $600? It's just $1,200 billboard. It's $600 a month for them. I mean, and again, I'm not saying like take it for granted, but let's build a relationship with them, with one, so we can grow together.
Yeah, and it just goes to show that there's like so many different avenues that you can go ahead and take, and just using the resources at hand. But it all stems from a place of integrity, right? And even though when you first say it, it's like, what's your goal in business? I want to dominate. I want to crush my competition. But then out of all of that, it sounds so like nasty and aggressive, but out of all of that, why do you want to dominate? So that the customer has the absolute best buying experience. Why do you want to dominate? So that only the best roofer is going to do this customer's roof, so that we can provide the best warranty, so that we can provide the absolute best experience, so that that customer is so happy with the services that we provide that they're going to be our number one source of business, because they're going to be, anytime that anybody needs a roof, they're going to be talking about our company. And that's the beauty, right? And it all stemmed from that hard drive, that willingness to want to go out there and just totally crush the marketplace, right? And to set that challenge for yourself that isn't based on a dollar figure. It's based on an idea. It's based on a mission. It's based on something that you may never be able to reach, but you're striving for it each and every single day, right? And that's like where I think the real magic happens with the entrepreneurs and the business owners that we've had the pleasure of speaking with. Like that's the common denominator. It's not tied into, I want a $20 million business. It was never about that. Right? It was about the journey. It was about what they were going to do. And it's typically tied to a mission bigger than the problem that they can actually solve. And that's where all the magic happens.
No, it's awesome. And it is you talk about referrals. A lot of people would do mailers. Everybody does mailers. There's quick companies that can do automatic mailers, but we're installing in the neighborhood. Easy to do, easy not to do, to have handwritten ones, AM cards. There's Dope Market, there's a bunch of company. But what's key here, the customer experience. Make long-term decision and have a passion for innovation. It's going to maximize your customer experience. Think about Amazon, Jeff Bezos. Amazon was dying for the longest time, right? People made fun of him, but they were thinking long-term decision. Even though it's not working, we'll lose money. I see this is going to get better. It's going to work. And passion for innovation. Have an app you can just buy online, right? Everybody's doing this now. So now they can really maximize it. And Jeff Bezos said, I don't care about customer service. It's like, I really don't care. It's like my best customer service would be, I don't have one.
Right.
I don't need customer service because my service is so powerfully done. There's never a go back. There's not a leak. There's not a siding damage. So we got to be flawless on the production side. But if I'm starting a business now, if I give a tip, okay, to create referrals, if I'm starting a business tomorrow, the first person I'm hiring a superintendent, but not a roofer superintendent. I'm hiring somebody who's a waiter, a work in the service industry that's likable, can communicate properly, they can get good service to that owner to turn him into 3.
Mm-hmm.
The installation is going to be done properly. The installers, we have subcontractors, we train them. We got some great training from GAF too that come to our office, use your resource. We want the installation to be flawless, number one rule, but homeowners assume that already.
Right.
I want to give the experience to the homeowner, because if they see you and you look like a bum or you have anybody on the job site, but if you come in and you're not looking like a pro, your hat backwards, you have a hole in your pants, you look sloppy, your truck's not wrapped, you park in the grass, little things. Now they're starting to be like, whoa, if you're doing this, maybe I've got to check your roof now. Now they're starting to be picky, right? So having a superintendent, critical, number one thing. You can send mailers. Everybody, we talk about this. A lot of people talk like that, but mailers were installed in the neighborhood and having door knock. But when you do door knocking at that point, because of the mailers, it's your truck, it's your salesman's truck with their wrap, it's a little bit warmer. And then have them give something to the neighbors around. So I think that might be a tip that makes it a little bit different. We give like our pizza cards. We find a local pizza place. We get a deal with them where they would pay, let's say we pay half the price of a pizza, but we pay for the pizza.
Right.
And it won't get too much details, but in their speech, they were giving a pizza. Like, I'm really sorry that we're doing a work across the street for your friend, Mr. Johnson. Do you know Mr. Johnson? And then we can go to, for this, I'm going to give you my point of contact. And I'm really sorry. We'll take a lot of space in your road, make a lot of noise. I'm going to give you a free pizza coupon. You ever tried mellow mushroom? You're like, doesn't matter what you say, but let me know what it tastes like because I've never been there before.
Right. And
now they're like,
and now you have that
the hell's
reciprocity,
going on?
right? You just gave them something. They inherently want to kind of give you something, right? Yeah, exactly. It's a beautiful.
So,
and how much did it cost you? Nothing.
It's nothing, and half of them don't use it. But then I thought like people would not use it. I was just using it like they're gonna feel like I'm giving something. And then we're doing. There was a little storm in this area, so when we started doing this, we had one lead. Me and Mark went there, and the first lady, I meet her. I come off her roof. Hey, so thank you for letting us inspect your roof. It was like 10:30 at that point. We finished like 11. Hey, it's about lunchtime. I'm really sorry to take your time. Here's a pizza card. You can go and have lunch at this pizza place right around the corner here. And then she called her insurance company and then file a claim. Then we go to the neighbor because we had a couple leads or somebody walking down the road. She comes about 12 o'clock. We don't see her. She comes in. She comes out of the car. Hey, guys, thank you for the pizza. I'm like, oh, my gosh. She just went. It's actually working.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But then our neighbor, John, is across the street. She's like, John, did you get your roof inspected? Oh, my goodness.
That's great.
He's like, no, what are you talking about? Hey, guys, go check his roof out after.
Done.
She sent us there.
Done.
It's over. So neighborhood takeover. Don't try to do the whole town. Do one homeowner at a time, then one street and one neighborhood. Don't spread. I mean, our sales guys, again, if we can do, at those $43 million, we had between 12 and 15 salesmen. So it's about 3 million, 3.5 average on each one of them. So you don't need more salesmen. You need better leads and more activities that are focused on sales for the outside salesman. Again, when you have superintendent on the job side, your salesman can do sales. If I can push it a little bit more, if you're, again, 2-3 million, a lot of people says, I'm going to hire more salesmen to grow my business. I think the owner needs to keep the sales for himself as much as possible. Because when you're owner, you have a passion, first of all, and then there's something that happens. Doesn't matter the size of your business, they don't know. If you have a truck wrap, they see your truck everywhere. They're like, oh, your business must be big. I was out in my apartment and people are like, wow, you must have a big business. No, man, I have nothing.
Right.
But there's something psychological I cannot explain to you. Maybe you can help me on this, Rico. But the homeowner, once they find out, I would not tell them I'm the owner. They would find out, right? They're trying to almost sell back to you now, to have the time to do the roofs because they know now they're going to be taken care of. I'm talking to the owner. I don't know why. It's sexy right now to be an owner. Like everybody wants to be owner. Like, oh my gosh, I got the owner right here. Yeah, absolutely. I want to work with you. So even if your personality test, your personality is not for sales, you have an unfair advantage. And Rico, the second biggest advantage that I've seen a woman owner. That's game over. That should be illegal. Yeah. That should not be legal. Yep. You can sell everything. So keep that and build around from superintendent. You can have time to train. Inside sales, somebody that can help you with follow-up. The biggest thing we see with outside salesmen is always follow-up.
Mhm.
And I would used to get mad at my sales guys, like, you need to follow up, follow up, follow up. But it would never change because their environment, when they at work, they're on the roofs, they're meeting owner, they got to be in the presence of, they never have time to do all the callbacks. So hiring somebody for this helped me a lot. And it's never about people. People never, in my opinion, is not wrong. Owner, your employees are not wrong. It's the system that's wrong. You have a wrong system. You need to have inside sales and production. Have somebody that can order materials, pay your crews, organize your schedule for the jobs coming. If you get into this, that's the 3 people I'm hiring. You can get to 3 to 6 really quickly.
Right. And one of the beauties is kind of just to highlight like what REEVA actually does for the roofing contractors out there, which I thought was extremely interesting. Most consultants or trainers, they'll come in and they want to scrap everything and they want to start fresh. What you've done is through your 400 plus 500 documents and SOPs and all of these things that have been the building blocks to the business that you currently have now, is if I have, let's say 50, if I'm 50% there, you just go ahead and plug in the additional 50% to make me whole. So that way I can go ahead and be on the exact same road. So it's not like scrapping everything and starting over. It's like, hey, let's take a real good, hard, honest look at where you're at. And then here are all the holes that we're going to fill for you, done for you, all vetted. We know it works. All you got to do is go out and play the game now with this rule book and you're done. You're off to the races.
Yeah, you're exactly right, man. And in one, you talk about a fuel. One of my biggest fuel now, when we started doing this, is we see. I hate this to talk like this, but we see a lot of coaches or people in the industry that are trying to teach other people, and they come in your business, and it's like a paper fire. They get all excited. All right, guys, we're gonna do all these things, and it's a couple of days, and then they're gone. And then one of them I talked to, I won't mention, of course, the person, but I said, so what do you do like next week? Like whenever you leave, man, what happens? It's like, no, that's great then, because they call me back. They say, I want more of this. So I go back. It's job security. I'm like, Again, now I'm like, you know what? I need to crush you now. I got to find a way to destroy you because you're not doing the right thing. That makes me like, so it's a lot of, when it happened, I'm like, all right, this is what I needed. Right. So, so we it's not a paper fire. We're doing, there's different things, that 3-month package. And when we left, like we share with them, we look at all the employees first with the assessment. We're going to identify who will work in the different position, because a lot of times somebody's failing in one position. You want to fire them because they're failing. We're like, no. That person, instead of being outside sales, they might be better at production coordinator. Let's review. Let's talk about them. And I'm telling you, 99% of the time, they're like, yeah, I'm miserable in my job. Thank you, God. I want to do this. I don't even know what they're performing just by talking to and then having the DISC assessment. And I've done over 4,000 interviews, Rico. Okay, so interviewing, they said leaders spend 90% of the time, 10% of the time recruiting, and they spend 90% of the time making up for recruiting mistake. Yeah. So when I read that, I'm like, okay, I got to put some attention into recruiting. So we're really, really picky on who we're recruiting. It makes it a lot easier for culture, but it makes it a lot easier for performance. Right. So with that knowledge, we can really impact who they have and then the process, where the holes are, 1 through 36. And then they have checklists for each of the steps to make it easier, smoother for the employees. So the employees, they don't have a job description that is 2,000 things. It's only a few things, minimize. The job description is it's a couple bulletin points. And so they can focus and become the best at doing the same thing. They talk about we talked about this earlier, but if you do the same activities over and over and over, somebody says, well, Martin, if I do the same activity over and over and over, that's so boring. I say, go tell Tiger Woods that hitting golf balls is boring. Right. No, it's not. Because once you do something, and not many things, you become good at it, better at it, better. It's addictive. You want to get better all the time. There's no way you become the best and you stop at selling, at anything you're doing. There's always improvement. So you get addicted to winning the day. Right. So by minimizing it, I love it, man. Sorry, man. I got to push it a little bit. So that's what it's all about, right? It's about being really precise. And again, if you look at it like, having an entire team of snipers, and that's what you want when you have a business. In my opinion, what you want to have snipers. If you want to have sniper customer service reps, sniper salespeople, sniper installers, these people that are just surgical on this one thing, and they're just amazing marksmen,
right? But they had to put in a lot of training in order to do that. They have to really just perfect their craft, and that's all that they're doing. And the mind can only hold X amount of thoughts, right? I mean, if you really think about it, like, most entrepreneurs, most of the people that are listening to the show, we're all fucking nuts, right? Because we're owners, and we had to be the accountant and the marketing guy and the salesperson and the technician and the this and the that. Like, very, very few people can go ahead and have the mental bandwidth to handle all of that. That's why most of us have ADD, right? Like,
well, and to make to your point, Rico, it's messed up. You have $3 million, and you're like, well, all these people, but that structure, I think, is very simplified. Everybody should start this, but you're right. If you look at a football team, if you're like Tom Brady's the greatest of all time, but Tom Brady would have been a terrible linebacker. He would have been a terrible lineman.
Right.
His body built is not for this. Wide receiver, we saw it. He dropped a nice softball pass in one of the so he's built for this. But what's your employees built for? And then we get employees to build for the wrong place. We expect to be the great quarterback. Then they build for wide receiver. They play the wrong position. Or we get a wide receiver and we're trying to get him to, somebody told me like, hey, teamwork is dream work. Like, that's BS.
Right.
Okay. Ask a wide receiver, hey man, I'm failing in I'm blocking the line. I'm a lineman. I'm failing my job. Can you come and help me? What are you going to do when you have a guy that's 300 pounds in front of you, your wide receiver? You're going to get destroyed. Right. You set him up for failure. They're not built for that. So if you can identify what they're built for, put in the right position, I mean, now you can have somebody that can perform and maximizing their
and then do those reps over and over and over again. They become that marksman, and they start getting good, so good at what they do that now there's this built-in pride. Because, again, something you had mentioned, like, who doesn't like to do things that they're good at, right? Like, everybody wants to win. Like, even the most humble person in the office, it's like, oh no, I don't want to win. Like, they want to win. Everybody wants to win. It feels good. It puts a smile on your face. It's good for morale. Makes you want to get up in the morning to be like, I don't suck at my job. It's like, that's what it's all about. So just creating that culture, that playing field for people to push your company forward, like that to me is key. And Martin, man, I mean, we've got so much to talk about. I mean, we could literally go for like hours, but I know that, we've got things that we got to do. Our listeners have got to get back on the field and, kind of start building their business. If they want to get some more information about you, Reeva, and they want to go ahead and explore a little bit more, where should they go?
Yeah, Reeva Impact. They found us on Facebook, Instagram. We have a membership, Reeva Revolution, that we launched a few months ago. We have hundreds of members right now. It's great because it's a community where everybody can get to tell their pains, and you have answers from others. But we'll also bring in our coach to do some sharing some documents, and you can ask questions directly. So it's awesome. It's a little community online. And that's powerful. And you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm big on LinkedIn personally. So there's a lot of things that I put out there that can help your business. I don't really like to do too much fluff. So it's valuable or things you can implement every day.
I love it. So remember, Dominators, this is all good stuff that you can go ahead and start implementing in your business today. Start asking the tough questions, right? Ask yourself every single day, what is it that you can do, right, to maximize the day and to move the needle forward? What can you do tomorrow? What is it that you don't know? And understand that processes is the key to building the business that you want. And as per usual, hustle, hack, dominate. I'll see you guys on the next one.
You've been listening to Restoration Domination, your #1 resource for tips, tricks, and hacks to help your business grow. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more Restoration Domination. And follow our host at Rico Garcia Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Till next time, this is Restoration Domination. Hustle, hack, dominate.